video has been in the works for a decade at this point. I originally recorded a very bad version of this video in early 2015, and I've wanted to make it better ever since. The idea for this video came from a creator who's no longer on the platform by the name of GexUp. GexUp created his own series called Naughty Dog vs. Insomniac Games, where he reviewed and pitted every game from the studios against one another. For example, all of Naughty Dog's pre-Crash games versus Disruptor, Crash vs. Spyro, etc. That series was recorded in 2010, and I found it a couple years later before he would delete everything and completely leave the internet. I've always loved the idea, and by 2015 I was making my own content. I had also fallen in love with these three franchises, so the original idea was born, and I sat down in front of my dad's crappy webcam and just talked for 10 minutes about how I'd rank the trilogies and Thieves in Time. I hadn't finished all of the games, I didn't research anything, and I was completely unscripted. It was a complete mess, and I knew it could be better. Then in late 2020, I moved out of my sister's apartment and started focusing on content again. I made a bunch of plans, including my video remake series. In that series was of course the original version of this video. I knew that I needed to play all the games again, especially because by that point I still hadn't finished Jak 3. Well, a few years have gone by, and I have just finished Jak 3 for the first time, and have replayed the games within the last couple of years. I feel like I'm ready to do this now. So, let's get into it.
And then I'd have to probably go on to my next least favorite as probably the very first Ratchet & Clank. Number 8, I'd have to probably say is Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. Actually, yes, number 7, Jak 3. So number 6, I'd probably have to say Sly 3, Honor Among Thieves. Number 5, I'd probably have to put Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal. Number 4, I'd probably have to say Jak and Daxter The Precursor Legacy. So number 3, I'd probably have to put Jak 2. Number 2, hands down, Sly 2 Bandit Thieves. Number 1, my favorite game, Ratchet & Clank 2, Going Commando.
So with that out of the way, here's what I say now in 2026. Number 9, Jak 3. This is a game that I have started numerous times over the years. I've gotten halfway through the game on multiple occasions before putting it down, and I never really knew why. Well, on a whim last year, I re-downloaded the PS4 version of Jak 3 along with my save from 2022 and picked up where I left off. Now I know what some of you are thinking, but don't worry. I already know everything about this game. None of its story was a surprise because I've taken in so much content about the game and series. But I went back and played through until I finally defeated Cyber Arrow once and for all. And I just didn't really care for it. I like Jak 3, and I'll always remember loving the first half of the game, but something just didn't click later in the game. I liked the story, the character, and Errol as the final boss. I didn't like some of the gameplay and design decisions though. I really hated shooting out the legs of Errol's fuck-ass Darkmaker mech. The actual final fight is fine, but the bit before it sucks. At least it does for me. If it worked for you, cool. There are parts that just frustrated the hell out of me that I'm pretty sure are not meant to be frustrating, and by the end I was just left a bit underwhelmed. I really wanted to like this game more, but I guess it'll live as a game that I only like 50% of. Number 8, Ratchet & Clank 2, Going Commando. Now I know some of you are not happy seeing this game this low in the list, but please let me explain. This was effectively my first Ratchet & Clank game, and I do still hold it near and dear to my heart. It's the game that helped me see what games could be because before I played this, I was only allowed to play whatever cheap racing games my parents decided to buy. But as time has gone on, I just don't think about this game very much. I still like it. Hell, I like it a lot more than Jak 3. The thing is, I think Insomniac has only gotten better at making fun games, which makes me like Ouya more, and I vastly prefer the story and character dynamics in the first game. That leaves Going Commando as my least favorite of the original trilogy. It's still a very fun game that improves on almost everything from the first game. In all fairness, most fans would say that the story is also better here, but like I said, I prefer the story in the first game. The things I do like in this game is, well, everything. I like the beginning with Ratchet on his own working for Megacorp. Because of how much I like the story in the first game, I feel just how Ratchet feels when Clank is kidnapped, and seeing that cutscene always makes me head off to Planet Endako right away. The story isn't as dark or serious this time around, but I understand why Insomniac made that change. Players generally didn't like the story of the first game. They thought Ratchet was an asshole, and Insomniac agreed, so they course corrected. Either way, the music and atmosphere is still top notch. The weapons are some of the best in the series, it's genuinely funny, and it's also able to provide just the right amount of challenge for a mascot platformer. This game also has plenty of platforming moments that go along with the shooting, which I like too. The only thing that I think is actually bad is the whole of Planet Snivelac. This planet is a serious difficulty spike, and the boss battle is absolutely horrid. I am so glad that games have really started to do away with turret sections, and that the speedrunning community has a much faster way to take out the Thugs for Less boss. The planet may be bad, but it doesn't take away from how good the game is. I know most people would have this higher, but I just prefer the other games on the list a little bit more. Number 7, Ratchet & Clank 3, Up Your Arsenal. Okay, please stay, don't click away. As I've already said, I really do like every game on the list. I do, and I know this game is better than the first 2 Ratchet & Clanks in every way. You could even argue that this game is better than the other trilogies in this video. I don't agree, but you could say that and I would understand. I have very fond memories of playing this game as a kid with one of my sisters. I'll always remember when we finally defeated the Mama Tyrannoid after being stuck for so long. The gameplay kept getting better, the guns were still cool as hell, and the story is a step up from going commando. I don't like it as much as the first game, but everything else about the game is better than the previous, and when I started playing it again very recently, I just had a little bit more fun with Ouya. And I'll be honest, it's been tough to figure out where to place both this and Going Commando. I really do like every other game on the list just a little bit more, but everything I liked about the previous Ratchet & Clank games is still great here, and this game is the introduction of fan-favorite villain Dr. Nefarious. To most people, this would be the peak. Well, this or A Crack in Time, but that's a different conversation. Like I said earlier, however, for me, this game has to be right here above its older sibling. I hope you understand. Number 6. Jak and Daxter and the Precursor Legacy. And oh, what can I say about this game? When I first started watching Let's Plays of this game in probably 2013, I knew it was special. Then I went to my local library and they just so happened to have a little section of PS2 games. The PS2 was all I had at the time, and I immediately checked out this game and Jak 2. I started both from the beginning quite a few times, especially this game. I was having so much fun with it, but for some reason I wouldn't finish it until 2017. That I really can't explain, but I guess I'll try. I've recently realized that I've never been the type of gamer to stick with one game until I was finished, and I know how that may come off, but I also feel the need to add, I didn't have a lot of games growing up. In fact, I had very little, but for whatever reason, what few games I did have, I just would start one, play it for a bit, and then move on to the next. So as a kid, I rarely finished games. And all of that is also why it's been a bit harder for me to be a completionist and a trophy hunter, and that is why my completion percentage is so low. And I've tried to force myself to stick with one game more often, but I think that's what's led to some of my burnout. I love trophy hunting, but I need to do it my way. Sometimes I will be truly engrossed in a game and play it and only it until I have the platinum trophy, but most of the time I'm just a little weirdo who likes to start a bunch of games at one time. My backlog is huge and I'll never see its end, but wait a minute, what was I talking about again? Oh, right, the first Jak and Daxter. Sorry about that long-winded tangent, I'm gonna leave that in, absolutely. But I love the first Jak and Daxter, and I'm a sucker for a good collectathon, and this stands toe-to-toe with the best of them. With its seamless open world with zero loading screens to its fun environments and characters, this game is always a great time. Of all the pure collectathon games I've played, this is probably my favorite. Well, maybe. I am a huge defender of Super Mario Sunshine, but this is excellent. Playing this game is always a wonderful moment of bliss, and I don't think that can ever change. Though it's not my favorite in the series anymore. Number 5. Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, or Sly Raccoon for all my friends in PAL regions. This game is still truly special to me. It may not be the best Sly game, or the best of the games on the list, but I will always love this game. Unlike with Ratchet & Clank, this was my first Sly game. My parents randomly surprised me with used copies of this game and Sly 2, which I still have in their original GameStop CD sleeves. To this day, I still have no idea why they got me them, but I do love them for that. Without them doing that, I wouldn't have found one of my favorite series and one of my favorite developers. As for my thoughts on the first Sly game, I love it. I've always loved this little game that feels more like a Crash Bandicoot game than the rest of the series. In saying that, it's also never been my favorite. When I played the game, When I first played the game, however, it immediately became one of my favorite games. I instantly preferred it to the Ratchet & Clank games I was actually able to play, and really just preferred it to everything. I absolutely love the way that Sucker Punch decided to tell the story in this game as a much darker and more adult story than any of its contemporaries. The Sly series has the cool juxtaposition of being a child-friendly game with a mature story, which is similar to when artists will write depressing lyrics to go over happy-sounding music. That always provides such a cool dynamic, and it fits Sly wonderfully. With all of that out of the way, what do I like about Sly 1, besides everything? Despite being so different to the sequels, I still think it works really well. The story is still engaging, our lovely gang has clear motivation, and it's just fun to play all the different levels. The only thing I don't particularly like is how the further you progress, the less platforming levels you have. I still like the minigames and side stuff, but still, there's only so many times I can race with Murray in the game before just wanting it to be done. And there's only 2 times you do that. But the point remains, the non-platforming levels aren't bad, but having so many of them I think does detract from the game a little bit. Either way, I still love it. Number 4, Jak 2, or Jak 2 Renegade for my friends in. This game being up this high may not surprise you based on what I said a decade ago, but what if I told you I was lying? I 100% did not feel that way about Jak 2. I hadn't even finished it at the time. I put it that high because I wanted brownie points from anyone who watched it. At the time, I thought the game was okay, but way too difficult. And now that I'm done calling my past self a liar, let's talk about how I currently feel about Jak 2. And I like this game a lot. When I replayed this game a couple years ago, I enjoyed it so much. I didn't really struggle and finished it pretty damn quickly. Hell, I was so into it that I actually stuck with it until I finished it. The story is better than the first, the gameplay changes are a lot of fun, and again, I don't think it's that hard anymore. Don't get me wrong, it's still a challenging game, but I don't think it's that bad. The only thing I don't like about it are the checkpoints. The fact that there are good checkpoints and easy early missions, but basically nothing for the actually challenging missions is bad. That's just bad game design, and Naughty Dog has improved so much since then. Still, the more I've thought about this game, the more I like it. This game has just started to stick with me since my replay. For the longest time, I considered the Precursor Legacy to be my favorite, but I think I can confidently say Jak 2 has surpassed it in my book. I really do believe Jak 2 is the best of the series, and it honestly almost made the top 3. Number 3, Ratchet & Clank. When I rewatched my old vid for reference, seeing this game so low genuinely hurt. I have no idea how I could have ever said that I got bored when playing this game. There's nothing boring about this game. From the opening moments, learning of Clank's origins, to exploring Veldin with Ratchet and then going on the whole journey together. This is where the whole series started, and Insomniac told a story that was quite different to other mascot platformers. Most of the genre would introduce your main character and their sidekick and then set you on your journey, but the team at Insomniac didn't want to tell your typical 3D platformer story. Ratchet and Clank are both fleshed out characters with their own personalities and motivation. They get to know each other, almost get killed by Captain Quark, start to hate each other before finally realizing what they have to do to stop Chairman Drek. It's not the most unique story, but in 2002 it was completely unique for the platformer genre, and I truly adore this story. And I love the dynamic between all of the characters. And yes, everything has since been improved in almost every future entry. But for me, none of that matters. The first Ratchet & Clank is my game. It's my favorite, and I'll always be here to sing its praises. Number 2, Sly 2 Band of Thieves. Apparently, I'm just full of hot takes in this video, but I promise it's not intentional. I truly stand by everything I've said, and truth be told, if I scripted this video this time last year, I would have said Sly 2 was my number 1. I felt Sly 2 was the best of all 9 games in this video for a long time now, and when I replayed Sly 3, something just changed. I started playing Sly 2 again and wasn't enjoying it as much, so I put it down and started Honor Among Thieves. I loved every second of Sly 3, and it became my favorite of the Sly series. In saying that, I still love Sly 2. I mean, it's number 2 after all. I completely understand that a lot of people would have Sly 2 at the top of the list, but it just can't be number 1 for me anymore. But, Sly 2 is absolutely fantastic. It completely changes the gameplay from the first game, and like with Ratchet & Clank, it improves on everything. I would even say it improves on the story as well. One thing I've really grown to love about this game, and especially Sly 3, is just how many tools Sucker Punch gave us. When I was a kid, I didn't use any of the power-ups or gadgets, But on my most recent playthroughs, I had so much fun experimenting with all the different tools at my disposal, and Sucker Punch just killed it with their last of the Sly series. Number 1, Sly 3, Honor Among Thieves. And here we are. You guys obviously knew this was coming, and I've known for a long time now that when I eventually remade this video that Sly would be at the top. It only made sense for me, but like I said earlier, I really couldn't have predicted Honor Among Thieves taking the top spot. I expected Sly 2. I could have seen Jak 2 taking it with how much I loved my replay of that, and I really wouldn't have been surprised if my love for the first Ratchet & Clank pushed it over the edge. None of that happened, and I can confidently say Sly 3 is my favorite game in all 3 of these franchises. To me, Sly 3 improves on Sly 2 in almost every way, and the game only has one slight blemish. That blemish is obviously the Mask of Dark Earth. As a boss, it sucks. Using it to take over Carmelita is bad and is clearly someone's fetish. In saying that, I do like how it gives us a big climbing challenge with a lot of moving parts. That is a bit of a saving grace, and when you consider Rumble Down Under has other good moments, I don't think that stupid mask is much of a detriment. I know what some of you are thinking too, oh, but there isn't anything bad in Sly 2, nothing's a detriment, so it has to be higher than Sly 3. And sure, you have a point, but Sly 3 just works for me a little bit more. I really enjoy how an opera fear is similar to Sly 2, but never going all the way. I've already talked about how much I do like parts of Rumble Down Under a lot. Flight of Fancy is my favorite level of the bunch. A Court Alliance is absolutely brilliant. Dead Men Tell No Tales leaves me feeling like a pirate. And finally, Honor Among Thieves, while minigame heavy, provides an excellent finale to an amazing series. The series genuinely could have ended with Sly 3, and I think it would have been a great choice. For me, Sly 3 is the best of any of these series. But that's all I got. This video has really been a long time coming, and I know it could have been longer. I could have talked about the gameplay and the stories more, but that's not really the point. If you want that, there's an overabundance of videos on this platform that can give you that experience. This video was always meant to be my experience with all 9 games and why I love them. And at the time of writing and recording, I'm happy with what I've got. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comments how you would rank the trilogies of Jak, Ratchet, and Sly. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye guys.